Shields up, Arm Breakers. Uppercut here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and today we're going to be talking about the Sword and Shield and the Dual Blades. Because for those of you that are not aware, in the last patch, these two weapons actually got a bit of a buff. And I'm not talking about just a buff that increases the damage that the weapons deal. I'm talking about a buff to a very specific mechanic to both of these weapons. Now, despite me being a Gunlance main, as you guys are no doubt aware, I like to play Sword and Shield quite a bit. And one of the things that I've noticed when I initially played the beta of Iceborne, as a matter of fact, I even made a video on it. I talked about the state of Sword and Shield in Iceborne or something along those lines. One of the things that I asked was like, what's the reason for using the Clutch Claw Uppercut? Like, I just legitimately asked this, like, why would I ever use that instead of, actually just aiming the claw and clutching onto the monster? And a lot of people said, well, because you're in the middle of the combo and you just, you roll into it, it's a little bit easier. But it's like, in practical use, I never really, ended up using the Clutch Claw Uppercut for anything. It's like, whenever I need to clutch a monster, it was just faster to aim the clutch and fire it. There was never a situation in which just rolling and using the Clutch Claw made it easier to do. So that was always one of the things that I thought was weird, particularly because it seemed like a really cool ability to use, but there just wasn't that much reason to use it. The other thing that I remember saying is that I felt like Perfect Rush didn't deal enough damage for the amount of practice you require to actually master the timing on that skill. And interestingly enough, the last patch that they applied onto the game addresses both of those things. So they fundamentally changed the purpose of the Clutch Claw Uppercut by allowing you to wound easier whenever you Clutch Claw onto a monster using the Clutch Claw Uppercut. As a matter of fact, certain parts of certain monsters will just flat out get wounded instantly the second you do the Clutch Claw Uppercut, which is pretty friggin' sweet. And that is also a mechanic that they changed on the Dual Blades. So on the Dual Blades, after you do the second hit of your circle attack, I believe, is it when you're in demon mode or is it when you're in archdemon mode? I don't remember, but there is a move that the Dual Blades have. I don't play Dual Blades all that often, so I'm sorry if I'm missing something here, but there is a move that Dual Blades have after the second circle attack. You can press L2 and you kind of do like a Clutch Claw grapple attack, after which you can press triangle and you do another attack onto the monster. They also changed that particular Clutch Claw attack to make it easier to wound. So basically, Sword and Shields and Dual Blades no longer have to clutch the same monster twice in the same spot in order to wound. If you clutch through the use of these mechanics, the built-in Clutch Claw attacks that these weapons have, like the Clutch Claw Uppercut and whatever is the name of the Clutch Claw attack that the Dual Blades do after their double spinning attack, you will be able to wound with just one hit. And again, in certain monsters, just clutching will wound certain parts from them. Usually the softer parts tend to be the way that thing goes. And I really like the fact that they did that, because even my friend Kegrin, he used to play a lot of Dual Blades, but then he would get burned out, particularly because it was a pain in the ass to wound monsters. You had to clutch them twice. And even after clutching them twice, then the wound only lasts 90 seconds, and it's something that is very not really a part of your usual toolkit. The whole thing of clutching twice, you have to stop your combo, you have to stop dealing damage. Whereas this is a much more interesting way to do things, because these things just kind of mesh into your combo in a way that just aiming the Clutch Claw manually just doesn't do it. And for me personally, if you guys were watching the live stream when the patch was applied, you'll notice that I pretty much just played Sword and Shield because I was having that much more fun with it. So I would really advise you guys, if at any point in time you were interested in the Sword and Shield or in the Dual Blades, and you just felt like, there was something there that didn't feel right, now is a great time to revisit those two weapons, because in my opinion, they became a lot more fun. I think even Kanta said that he finds the Dual Blades much more satisfying because he can wound a little bit easier now. And those were some of the complaints about those weapons. Now, I do have a piece of feedback here. It's not really a complaint. I don't care if they change this or not. I just feel like there's a bit of an inconsistency here comparing the Sword and Shield with the Dual Blades, which is whenever I clutch with the Sword and Shield and I do the Claw Uppercut, I still drain ammunition from the monster, which is fine because you've always drained ammunition from the monster whenever you do this. The problem is, if I want to wound multiple parts, I'm going to bleed the monster drive ammunition. Now, some of you that maybe don't use a weapon that relies on ammunition all that much, you might be like, who cares? Who cares if you bleed the monster drive ammunition? Doesn't matter. But for people that actually need that ammunition, like insect glaive users who need it to feed their insects, or gun lance users who need it to load their wormstake blast, or particularly bow users, I think probably have it the toughest of all, because they need it for their 1,000 dragon shot, and usually the ammo that you get from the monsters is the best one for the 1,000 dragon shot. If you just have someone running all over the monster, just bleeding it dry of ammo early on into the fight, it means that these weapons are going to not be able to deal as much damage and have full access to their toolkit, because having to rely on ammunition that you catch in the field is never going to be as efficient as relying on the ammunition of the monsters themselves. So, interestingly enough, if you do the clutch claw attack with the dual blades, it actually doesn't draw ammo. So if you do the clutch claw attack at the end of the double spinning attack with the dual blades, and you finish on the monster with another triangle attack to basically wound, it actually doesn't draw ammo anymore, which basically allows dual blade users to go all over the monster, wounding everything they possibly can, whilst actually not extracting ammunition and screwing everybody else over. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have the sword and shield, which can't do this. On the sword and shield, you can clutch, but after you clutch, if you attack, you're drawing ammo. So if you're playing with someone that's got a bow, a gun lance, or an insect glaive, you're going to make their life a little bit harder because, again, you're going to bleed the monster drive ammunition. And I just really would like it, if that's possible, that when the sword and shield clutches in this fashion, like when you clutch using the clutch claw uppercut, that it wouldn't draw ammo, because usually when you do that, you're clearly trying to wound. And when you're trying to wound, you might not be wanting to draw ammo. And if you want to draw ammo, you can just clutch it traditionally using the clutch claw, and you can still extract ammo that way. And that would be a massive improvement that I would really like. Now, on top of this, in the case of the sword and shield, I believe they also buffed the damage of Perfect Rush. They said they adjusted the damage of Perfect Rush. It definitely feels like you can do more damage with it now, particularly with elemental weapons. Perfect Rush was always better with elemental weapons. It just deals a ton of damage. And that's a cool thing because it incentivizes, I feel like, even raw sword and shield can kind of go in there and still deal a significant amount of damage with Perfect Rush, instead of just relying on their, old tried and true shield bash combo of going back and putting the shield down, going back, putting the shield down. And I like having that choice because, I was one of the people that practiced quite a bit of Perfect Rush, and I would end up very rarely, using it to its full effect because the damage just wasn't there. Like, I would use it almost as a stubborn thing. Like, I'd be like, no, I practiced so damn much to get the timing down on this skill that I'm gonna use it every chance I get. It's more like that than necessarily because it was the most efficient thing to do at the time. But either way, I was really happy with the changes. Like, if they eventually change it so that sword and shield doesn't extract ammo when you use the claw uppercut, I think that'd be great. If they don't, I'll still be pretty happy, because just the change that they did of being able to wound easier makes such a massive difference to the sword and shield that basically I think people that don't use sword and shield will never even realize how much of a big deal this is for the rest of us. And it just kind of shows you that Capcom is still in there doing a lot of changes to the game and improving the experience overall, which is pretty cool. And that is why I tend to do these videos providing feedback, because sometimes people tell me, oh man, Rurikon, you're just complaining about these things, nobody cares. And it's like, I'm not complaining, I'm providing feedback. I've always said, doesn't matter what they do at this point, I'm still always going to enjoy the time I've played with the game. That's just the fact of life. I really just enjoyed this game. And by the way, are you guys ready for what is coming this Thursday night? New Siege. We'll be live streaming it here on this channel, unless YouTube screws over their back end again and I can't stream, because that's happened on a recent stream. But that is going to be a stream that we will be hosting here And if you guys are looking to get the new raid done and stuff, I'm going to try to maybe set up a system with lobbies, kind of like what we did with Call to Wrath, to get like-minded individuals to get together and play the game, so that you don't have to just play with randoms, and hopefully that will help people out. I remember that during Call to Wrath, that was something that a lot of people enjoyed. I'm going to try to set up the same system in my Discord channel if I have enough time, because it's been some really busy days recently. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit it up with a like. If you did not enjoy the video, hit it up with a dislike, because feedback is extremely important. Leave me all your comments in the comment section as well. Thank you very much for watching. Stay strong, and may your shields never break.